and William Haynes, Jay Bybee, and John Yoo. Got them all in there. The tribunal does not possess the power to enforce the convictions nor its recommendations for victims' reparations, but issued a statement saying, quote, "The tribunal recommends to the War Crimes Commission to give the widest international publicity to this conviction and grant of reparations, as these are universal crimes for which there is a responsibility upon nations to institute prosecutions if any of these accused persons may enter their jurisdictions." Let it be so. It's 1 minute past the hour. The nation of Japan has been 100% nuclear power free for over a week now, having switched off the last of its nuclear reactors on May 5th. The Huffington Post reports that thousands of Japanese citizens celebrated in the streets following the reactor shutdown, with one marcher saying of the shuttered plants, quote, "Not a single one will be up and running today, and that's because of our efforts," end quote. Officials bowed to the emphatic will of the people following the tsunami and subsequent multiple reactor meltdown at the Fukushima nuclear power plant last year, making Japan a nuclear power-free nation for the first time in 40 years. Some observers have expressed concerns that the shift will result in greater greenhouse gas emissions due to a projected uptick in oil and gas consumption, but CBS News reports that Germany's emissions have actually declined since going 100% nuclear power free last year.
Yep, and 80% off the grid, right?
Yeah. Seo Kato, deputy director of Japan's Environmental Ministry's Low Carbon Society Promotion Office, commented, quote, "We have the technological know-how. Japan can do anything Germany can." It's 3 minutes past the hour. And finally, President Barack Obama picked up a vitally important endorsement for his re-election bid last week from a universally respected and revered national figure, Betty White. The Associated Press reports that the 90-year-old actor stated her approval of Obama's performance so far and of, quote, "how he represents us," end quote. White stipulated that she is firmly bipartisan and has rarely voiced an opinion on politics in any way, but felt compelled to speak her mind on the presumed Obama-Romney matchup, saying she, quote, "very, very much favors," end quote, Obama. White added that she has kept silent in the past on political matters for fear of diminishing her fan base. But when you're 90 or Betty White, it's probably okay. For Go Harrison on KPFK 90.7, I'm Mercy Malik. You can follow me on Twitter at @TheActualMercy, and this has been your Reality Check.
Smart starts now. GoHarrison.com.
What's new about Tiger Woods?
Michael Jackson. Elvis Presley.
O.J. Simpson. Abandoned baby. Order
Harrison. Talk show. Random. Political. Outrageous. Philosophical. Analytical. Passionate. Hidden. Sunsets. Roadkill cooking tips. Open-minded. Swordsman. Bent. Resolute. Chocolate. Bushwhacker. Belt buckles. Investigative. Companion. Fearless. Call in. Piercing the cloud of mainstream entertainment. Live from Los Angeles, Harrison.
And it is 4 minutes past the hour. Harrison with you, your new best friend. Welcome. Happy Monday to you. Happy indeed, as, today we're going to have a particularly spectacular piece of activist fun. That's right, whistleblowing a go-go. And we're talking about blowing the whistle on Homeland Security. That's right. Since they've been blowing us for a long time, we're going to do a little back at them. We've got a guest. Am I right?
A little back blow.
A little back blow, yes. Or blow back.
That too.
With the CIA defines it differently, but we know really what it means.
Right.
And Lamont, who is tweeting right now and doing our social media, our social. It is a form of spirochetal charm, for sure. Is Julia imminent? Is that right? She's imminent. She's walking in. Here she is.
All
She's coming in right now.
Perfect timing.
Well, this is what happens when the Homeland Security is after you. You come under the cloak of a cloak. So she's going to be in here shortly. But before we get to her, and you're going to really enjoy this, we're also going to open up the phones and make it possible for you to talk directly about Homeland Security, what it means, what the plot of the real play is versus the official story, and why interesting information like, bin Laden's going to try and blow up the United States on a July 4th. And here's the documentation that shows that. And then they tell her, shut up, and then call her a terrorist and other things and make her life icky poo-poo. That's basically what happened. We're going to find out why that is. She's also got a documentary that's coming out tomorrow night at the Academy of Motion Picture Sciences, Arts and Crafts. We never know why there's science in motion picture, but we vote yes, living here in L.A. So we're going to talk to her at length about that in just a few minutes. But first I want to just talk about Mitt Romney for a moment and Barack Obama. The weekend has been so extraordinary in terms of the sort of contrived conversation about bullyism. And one of the things that kind of struck me as profound, and I'm just going to swing over to Mercy here for a second.
Hi, Harrison.
Hi, honey. Is that when you think of, like, one presidential candidate says he was always an outsider, always trying to fit in. The other one was always trying to make others fit in.
Or just kick them out.
Or just kick them out. That's right.
Right.
So his vision of the world includes 8 people who check a box that looks like his.
Yes.
The other one just wants to be in everybody's box, comma, as it were, period. And so, you know, I really wanted to do kind of an open phones thing today, but we had the luck of having Julia Davis in here. So we're going to focus on that because civil rights, Homeland Security, whistleblowing, always a majorly important topic versus sort of what's our sense on stuff. But maybe you can tweet or Facebook me with sort of your general vibe on these two guys. Twitter is @GoHarrison, @GoHarrison, and we're tweeting right now live during the show. You can also Facebook us, keyword GoHarrison. Go Harrison. Our regular page is chock full of you, and Facebook Corporation won't allow us to add even one more person.
Heaven forbid.
Heaven
we should
forbid.
have too many friends.
That's right.
Right.
By golly, by gumbo. So it's Go Harrison now is sort of this fan page thingy, but you can post stuff on it. And
It's a community. Don't think of it as you're not fans. You're part of our community.
Well, I would say community, but it sounds like commune, which sounds like communism, and Mitt Romney gets upset because corporations are people too, my friend.
We don't want to upset Mitt Romney.
No, we don't.
No,
you know
heavens.
what happens if we do?
He cuts our hair.
He cuts our hair. I kind of like to look at it this way.
This is American Hunter with Mitt Romney.
Hello, fellow lifelong hunters. I'm Mitt Romney, and today we're hunting deers. Now, when I hunt deers, I like to use this thing I'm holding in my hand here.
It's called a rifle.
Oh, of course, a rifle. Now, as any seasoned hunter will tell you, the proper way to use the
Rifle.
rifle is to grasp it by the long tubular metal handle and strike the prey with the blunt wooden end.
Governor, you point the rifle at the deer and shoot a bullet at it.
Oh my, but won't that harm the poor creature?
When we return, Mitt Romney hunts bear.
When hunting bear, you must first remove all your clothing. I'm going to start with my pants. There we go.
On American Hunter with Mitt Romney.
Come on, gentlemen, get naked with me, won't you?
You know, I want to apologize to everybody that I might have offended, even though I may or may not have actually done that. But I'm not sure if I did. But if I did, I want to apologize for people who are offended. So the apology is for somebody who got offended, not for an act. Like, I murdered somebody, but I want to apologize to the family if they got upset. Like, aren't they screwed up?
Yeah.
Aren't they overreacting?
These silly people.
It's just kind of incredible, right?
Well, and as some have pointed out, it would be an incredible step for him to actually say, wow, I did something terrible when I was young, and I feel very bad about it. I was reminded of former Senator Alan Simpson when he was in studio a couple of months ago, talking about how he had made a lot of errors in his youth, and he owned those, and people respected him for that. But Mitt Romney isn't usually known for making decisions that cause people to respect him. So yet another lost opportunity on that point.
Yeah, you know, and sure, I'd love to flap the Obama burgee nonstop, but there's a lot of issues there too. So you're not hearing, the voice of the Democratic Party, not in this room, not for me anyway, which is why it's going to be a treat to talk to Julia Davis, because we're going to talk about what's actually is and some of the nonsense and PR and subplots that go on, and why doing the right thing when you're hired to do the right thing, doing the right thing is actually the wrong thing. And how in hell that can be, especially when we're underwriting it and funding it as the taxpayer. I know I sound like Ron Paul here, but, well, not really. He's gone now.
He is.
He stepped away.
He's effectively gone.
Yeah, he's effectively gone, and Newt Gingrich is effectively gone, too, and I miss him.
Newt Gingrich is officially gone. Ron Paul has said that he is going to cease spending money in states that have not voted yet, which really, I mean, what does that mean?
Oh, Alaska.
You're gone. Yeah.
Right. Puerto Rico, although, are they allowed? You know, I miss Newt Gingrich because I miss the socialist, secular, blight that besets and befalls the American public and the fine. I miss that.
I miss a man who breaks up with one of his wives while her arm is attached to a cancer to chemotherapy tube, telling us about moral values.
And also to see a real live Stepford wife in Colasta, his third wife.
Colasta.
I mean,
nice.
Seriously, you look at Mitt Romney and you go, I get why there's a problem there. This guy in college, do you think the women were flinging themselves at him? I don't think
Doubtful.
so. Do you think even the cheerleaders, well, he wasn't certainly on the football team, but, what a poor bastard. So he goes through 3 women to show, look, I can get one too. And then finally at some point he has to have a Stepford wife who will just say yes to everything. Yes, yes. And stand there like the dutiful wife, much as a Republican wife stands dutifully by her closeted gay senatorial husband who's been tapping 3 times in the men's room stall. That's got to be brutal on your self-esteem, I would think.
I can't imagine how they would make it through. I would characterize her as defined by Botox and Valium, but I don't want to insult Botox and Valium.
I was at a party Saturday night where there was more Botox. In fact, they gave away Botox as
it was a Botox party
in a silent auction. And I'm thinking, try doing that in Iowa. And our silent auction item
sure they do.
is Botox. And they're like, why?
I'm sure they do. Yeah, it's everywhere.
Right, it is everywhere.
Oh, yeah.
Well, and we do it here with our dentists in L.A. You can now have your hygienist hunker over and blow the plaque off your gums, and meanwhile injecting an 8-gauge needle into your puss and relieve you of the burden of a wrinkle. Right? Can you imagine? I mean, how hideous leaving the dentist office with a wrinkle.
Well, in LA, though, they give away bleaching of your nether regions as well. So we really up the ante, so to speak.
Part of them. They haven't tried the foreground, only the background. I think it would be too painful. I wouldn't know.
I wouldn't know myself.
I actually don't even know what color I am there.
The Harrison Show has no opinion on any cosmetic procedures you
we have no
would like
opinion
to have or not have.
On anything at all. Absolutely nothing. We simply...
We merely observe.
We just observe. We are detached with love.
Nice.
And it is.
And here's our guest.
Yeah, you're right. 13 minutes. Throw her right in. No, we'll gently ease Julia in because I think we may have horrified her in advance, but she's strong. And we're going to find out how strong she is and what she's had to put up with. Let me just sort of reintroduce and reset. We're going to talk in just a moment with Julia Davis, who is a national security whistleblower, falsely declared a domestic terrorist, subjected to retaliation of unprecedented proportions by the Department of Homeland Security after she revealed something that they asked her to do, something that you and I, we didn't actually ask for Homeland Security to exist, but had we asked, she did what was expected of her, to find out that, bin Laden actually had terrorist plans for U.S. soil on the 4th of July. So she told her boss, and her boss said, slap. And then she was later declared, and she's going to elucidate and focus this better, but she became known as a domestic terrorist because she did the wrong thing by doing the right thing. And, if they don't look good because of something, you have to go bye-bye. And so there's a lot going on in the background. She's got a movie coming out tomorrow, and it is a really brave movie because it's the sort of thing that's being shown publicly and in a big, large way, and that's surprising and amazing and awesome to me too. But thank God for her strength and zeal to put it out so that mainstream America can actually see this stuff. It's not like some hacked up YouTube video somewhere. She's doing it right in the middle of LA, right in public, with a lot of big people watching it. And this story is going to end up, irritating and causing a frictive moment for some of the grown-ups. And we can only vote yes for that. So we're going to talk to her in just a second. I want to acknowledge Lamont Wheat, who is helping us in our social media side of things right now. We're upping the game here. He's waving. That was the sound of his hand whooshing through the air. It is the size of a small battleship, so you could actually hear the air break. And it's sexy, too?
It's a lovely hand.
You know, it's a fine-looking hand.
He could do hand modeling.
You
You should
could.
think about that, Lamont.
He may model it. You've thought about hand modeling, have you?
Maybe toe modeling.
Toe modeling.
Yeah.
Even more
That's
impressive.
a specialized
That's higher
thing.
up on the
Nice
That-
men's feet are hard to come by.
Yeah, you know what? And if you do
Yeah.
find them, you can get hard.
I have some at home, and yeah.
You have men's feet at home?
I have a pair of
Are they
lovely
detached?
men's feet. No, they're attached to the rest of the loveliness.
Oh, well.
Yeah.
Hey, there's
right.
a lot of people out there with foot fetish.
The-
I don't get it.
I don't either,
I
but
just don't want the scary feet. That's all.
I
I
just
know.
supply the need.
There's nothing like a
You
hot
supply
bunion
the
to turn
need.
me on. Give me a hammer toe.
A bunion.
A bunion. A double bunion with a hammer
Lovely.
toe on the side.
And a cornfield.
And a,
Let's move on.
why? I want to talk about, I'm a podophile.
Julie's so glad. Julie is so glad.
Or would that be a
she's here.
pedo? No, not a pedophile. That's different, but a podophile for podiatry. But why isn't a pedophile a foot fetishist?
Yeah, one would think.
Like a pedal.
That's always curious. It's puzzled me in the past. I'm not
And if you
gonna
speak
lie.
at the podium, it's because you're standing there, except it's actually a lectern. People confuse a lectern and a dais. These are complicated problems, so this gives me a chance to tease next week's show. I'm going to play a special show for you next week from 3 to 4. Seriously, this is the most important show I will have ever done, by the way.
Oh, my.
You're not going to want to miss a minute of it. I went in London to the house of Dr. Samuel Johnson, the man who wrote the first English dictionary. And he wrote it at the time our Constitution was being deliberated by the founding daddies. And he wrote this thing. And this guy would drink for 30 days in a row and then get a hangover. Took him a while. And then he would drink like tea for an entire month, 25 cups in a sitting. And in his house is the original American dictionary. This is post-Shakespeare by 200 years. We all thought we had a dictionary. Nope, no such thing. So people made up words all the way until this guy chronicled sort of the official thing. So I went inside of his house, and the curator was there. And because I'm I'm perverted, and I just have to admit that publicly, knowing this is there's digital archives and podcasts of everything I say, so whatever I say lasts absolutely forever. And Julia can attest to that, and we're going to talk about that as well. But in this place, I would have thought, what a great tourist trap. The guy who wrote the dictionary.
And you
Like,
could sell dictionaries.
who doesn't want to touch the walls, right? And they have his original powdered wig in there, which is still filled with mites and gnats and little bugs. That's why they powdered their wigs back then.
Yes.
They had so many insects and vile things living because they weren't chronic bathers. And so they would powder it to try to kill the mites. So his wig is still there. What an amazing guy. So I got like this far, and you can see in your mind's eye how far apart my fingertips are. This far from touching the spleen or the spine of the original dictionary, but it was behind a little piece of wire, and she wouldn't let me, and I begged. I begged. Please. So next week, you're going to have a tour of Dr. Samuel Johnson's house in the east side of London, where the original dictionary was written, where he used to drink at some pub called the whatever it was. But we're gonna tour the house, his history, how he wrote the dictionary, and his interesting personal life. Like what compels a man to take every word that exists and put it down on paper and then define it. Who's able to do that kind of stuff?
An alcoholic, apparently. Apparently.
Yeah. So this, to me, all 6 listeners that will be left that really care. That trust. This is like going to Billy Shakespeare's house, but better. Billy made it up. We know that. He made it up. This guy chronicled it. Fascinating life story. So that's next Monday from 3 to 4 with live audio and video stills of the inside of the house. So you'll be able to watch that on GoHarrison.com, GoHarrison.com. So we've got coming up in just a second some traffic with Jeff Thomas. After that, we will return and we will introduce Julia Davis, a national security whistleblower, falsely declared a domestic terrorist, yep, working for the U.S. government, helping the American people become safer, and they make her unsafe for her good works. We're going to explore why that is and what Homeland Security seems to really be, certainly from her perspective, and the documentary that she's put out. She's also written multiple books. She writes for the L.A. Homeland Security Examiner, appears on network television as a national security expert, member of the Academy of Television Arts and Sciences, National Security, Anti-Terrorism counterterrorism expert, investigative journalist, former Customs and Border Protection officer, and can cook a mean lasagna. Am I right? Maybe. She'll learn with the right recipe. She may have evolved beyond that. I
Because
certainly
that's the
have.
most important part, obviously.
Well, if I'm at your table, it certainly is. Let's go to a little live and local traffic with Jeff Thomas. Or not. Jeffrey.
Commuter traffic.
It is 21 minutes past the hour. This is your Go Harrison live and local traffic report here on KPFK. Looking pretty good. It's a wonderful, what is it today? Monday afternoon. Not too much traffic to speak of. A little bit of slowing right before the 5 freeway. That's on the 10. Headed east coming out of Santa Monica. The 5 to the south coming out of downtown LA is kind of slow and go until you get to South Bell Gardens and it opens up and looks pretty good as you're heading into Orange County. A little bit of slowing in El Monte on the 10 east again. That is before the 605 freeway. Looking at my map and...
Oh, that's how you do it.
Yeah, that's right.
You're not in the copter today?
We'll go Harrison on KPFK 90.7 FM in Los Angeles and 98.7 FM in Santa Barbara.
Commuter traffic. GoHarrison.com. Lock it in. Coming up, more Harrison. 310-737-DOUG.
Finally, a music company is putting something besides beautiful music in the air. Fartland Music presents Classic Cuts featuring gut-wrenching tunes like Feelings. Classic Cuts from Fartland Music gives you an extraordinary collection of haunting melodies that hang in the air long after the tune has played. No other collection can hold a match to this version of Memories. Classic Cuts from Fartland Music is the record offer you just knew had to come out, sooner or later, especially when you hear your CD player expel Unchained Melody. Classic Cuts from Fartland Music. When you hear it, you know there's nothing to do but crack a window and share the experience with others. Order today.
It's all fun and games until somebody gets their eye poked out. Harrison on the Edge. It's radio for the rest of us.
And it is 24 minutes past the hour. Harrison with you, your new best friend. You are listening to Go Harrison on KPFK 90.7 FM in Los Angeles, 98.7 FM in Santa Barbara, 93.7 in San Diego, 99.5 in Central California. We are streaming live at GoHarrison.com. One word, GoHarrison.com. The same keyword, Go Harrison, on Facebook, where you can follow us. We are tweeting live right now and looking at your tweets right now at Go Harrison on Twitter, at Go Harrison, joined by the great Mercy Malik, who's going to be giving us some news at the bottom of the hour. At 20 till, Activism a Go-Go, where we get up off our large curd cottage cheese buttocks and get into action, into the solution, and save Earth, one person at a time, affecting possibly a tenth of a block. It's exciting. Gandhi would have voted yes for that. I want to introduce right now Julia Davis, a national security whistleblower who was falsely declared a domestic terrorist, subjected to retaliation of unprecedented proportions by the Department of Homeland Security after she revealed potential bin Laden terrorist plans for U.S. soil on 4th of July, and files actually found within bin Laden's compound in 2011 confirmed Julie's assessment and analysis that the 4th of July was in fact a date of a planned terrorist attack on the United States. So doesn't she deserve a gold star? Doesn't she deserve a nice new Chrysler? Doesn't she deserve a kiss on the... Doesn't she deserve the lasagna that I mentioned earlier for that? Well, Homeland Security instead, notorious for its brutal retaliatory tactics against what we would call a courageous whistleblower. In fact, how do you not be a courageous whistleblower today?
Right.
I don't think you could be a layabout whistleblower,
Not
a
so
laggard whistleblower, napping whistleblower. Boy, I tell you, you are stunning Julia Davis. I have to say that. And then you were falsely accused of being a domestic terrorist, an illegal alien, somehow. I don't know what planet. Kolob, like Mitt Romney? I'm not sure if you're Mormon or not. We'll ask you that a little later. And in an attempt by the Homeland Security and ICE, and I love that Dick Cheney renamed immigration ICE. I just think it feels cool on a hot day. So you were then by DHS, Homeland Security, ICE, to deport and denaturalize her. Like denaturalizing or denaturing alcohol, I suppose, and turning it into rubbing alcohol. So the agency falsely claimed that you served in the Russian army. This is all so exciting and amazing. It's kind of like during the Reagan administration, we knew that the Russians had airborne nuclear submarines because we couldn't see them. And we knew that they were able to hide them because we couldn't see them.
Behind clouds.
Whatever. And so, we spent $1 billion to find airborne submarines.
Wow.
Thank you, Jesus. So then, by the way, did I mention you were convicted of a murder? Let's just throw that in while we're at it. So welcome, Julia Davis.
Thank you so much for having me.
And, I mean, what I just said is so surreal.
Yeah.
So impossible by the very statement that it could have happened that way, and yet it did. So here you are, working Customs, Border Patrol, Homeland Security. Let us know that there is a bin Laden potential attack on a 4th of July. You tell your bosses you should have been on CNN as the superstar of the week, and instead you're working for the Russian army, you're a murderess and a domestic terrorist. How in hell does that work?
That's pretty interesting. It's quite an introduction, but the truth is stranger than fiction. And in this instance, if I wrote this as a fiction film, people would tell me to tone it down, that it was too incredible. But in real life, it happened in the way you could have never predicted.
Well, now, what's the payoff for Homeland Security, whose mission statement, broad as it may be, along with the Patriot Act, broad as it is, but one would think that Homeland Security would be to secure the homeland. And there you did exactly as is written. You secured the homeland, and yet you were so vibrantly punished. Why?
That's the thing. I never even saw myself as a whistleblower. I just did my job and went beyond what my job dictated because I felt that there was a potential threat. But the Department of Homeland Security, it seems to be more interested in looking good than doing good. And anyone that threatens its status and its appearance to the public and its billions in funding becomes a threat. And incidentally, they have declared me a top priority. And instead of investigating my report of a national security breach, they have started 54 investigations against me.
Wow. So, quick question here. And actually, Lamont, I'm just going to have you pause on the typing for a second because I just want to move the microphone here. So, Julia, quick question. They don't look good when you say there's a terrorist plot. Wouldn't they look great? Like, look, we did our job. Suddenly, but by you doing, like, revealing something so huge, so monstrous. I mean, Dick Cheney was never ashamed to go on TV and say, they're coming next Tuesday. Hide under the bed. He thought he looked good. Why wouldn't you look good revealing that bin Laden has a plan? We have now proof when we were in there in 2011 when we went in there that he was going to do a terrorist attack on a July 4th, a meaningful day in the United States. Why don't they look good? I don't get it.
Because we had specific intelligence alerts that Al-Qaeda was planning to enter the United States on national holidays, and 4th of July was designated as a special date to watch. And they were planning to come through our porous land borders, which is where I worked, at the largest border crossing in the United States and in the world. So with these special alerts, we were supposed to be on the lookout for people from terrorist countries coming across the border. And instead of doing that, they have let in 23 people from terrorist countries without enrolling them into any databases that they were supposed to do.
Okay.
And that's what I exposed. That,
Yes.
That they have admitted these people without any proper processing.
So not only did they violate everything that we think that they're supposed to be doing with the billions of dollars, the 500,000 employees that Homeland Security has that we know of, wink, wink, and all the other stuff, but they're actually letting people through. They must know whom they're letting through. It's not like, I'm going to go have lunch and somebody sneaks through. No, it's like, oh, a terrorist, let him through. I mean, there must be a reason we want that activity here. Is it so that we can, we have the argument that we actually need Homeland Security? See, we just found a cell in the middle of Ohio somewhere, but we let them in so that they could exist, so that we could then declare that we need even more money for Homeland Security, and then the private contractors and the public sector both gets to grow and become voluped until we have an entire police state, so that, much as in Chicago today, the Catholic League shows up to protest NATO, which is having a big gathering in Chicago, and they're all arrested for singing a peace song.
God forbid.
God forbid.
Right.
And I thought here in the United States, the only thing that matters is the church. I mean, at least I've been following the news.
Not when it's fighting for peace. Anything else is okay.
We're going to continue talking to Julia Davis. We will also open up your Harrison hotlines at 310-737-TALK, 310-737-TALK, so that you can talk to a whistleblower who has done some really great stuff. One, told you what was going on. They shut her up. They've claimed horrible things about her, including murder, serving the Russian army. I mean, Jesus, sounds like Dr. Strangelove on steroids. And here she did her job as prescribed. She whistleblew the fact that they were letting all kinds of people through the porous borders, knowing, wink, wink, who they were. And then once they're here, we can say, look, we caught them. She whistleblew. They're very upset, and they want her to go bye-bye. She's got a documentary out tomorrow night. Can we give away a pair of tickets?
Yes, and the premiere is on Wednesday, May the 16th,
Yes.
and we would be happy to have some concerned citizens join us. They could email you, or they could email us at Fleur de Lis Film Studios.
Great.
Contact at Fleur de Lis Film Studios.
Well, what we'll do is
and
we're
request
going to play a trailer for your movie in just a moment, and then we'll have them text to win, or TTW, as we call it in the radio industry. What's left of it anyway. And now a little news with Mercy Malik.
Go Harrison. News update.
Go Harrison News Time is 33 minutes past the hour, and I'm Mercy Malik with your reality check. Elizabeth Warren, former special advisor to the Secretary of the Treasury and current Democratic Senate candidate for Massachusetts, today issued a call for J.P. Morgan Chase CEO Jamie Dimon to resign as director of the New York Federal Reserve Bank. J.P. Morgan Chase last week announced a jaw-dropping loss of $2 billion due to what one banking lawyer summarized for the Huffington Post as a, quote, $10 billion bet, end quote. Yep.
There.
Makes you feel better. Advocates of privatizing Social Security might want to take note. Elizabeth Warren, who was instrumental in the creation of the federal government's Consumer Financial Protection Bureau, is also calling for the renewal of the Glass-Steagall Act, a group of laws which regulated the financial industry until Wall Street lobbyists forced its repeal in 1999. Warren stated, quote, "Frankly, I don't think we should just trust Wall Street banks to regulate themselves, because as we learned during the 2008 financial crisis, they are not just taking risks with their own money, they are taking risks with the whole economy." It's 34 minutes past the hour. In local news, yesterday was Mother's Day, and a consortium of Southern California moms spent their holiday on the steps of the Los Angeles Superior Courthouse protesting the so-called war on drugs. RawStory.com reports that a group known as Moms United to End the War on Drugs turned out with signs and stories of how their children and families have been harmed through the government's focus on incarceration of drug offenders rather than rehabilitation efforts. Speakers included Gretchen Burns Bergman, Executive Director of Parents for Addiction Treatment and Healing, who herself has 2 sons who have suffered from heroin addiction and multiple incarcerations. Bergman said, quote, "Mothers throughout history have come forward for the sake of their children. We're coming forth saying that the drug war has been more damaging to our families than the drugs themselves," end quote. Bergman added, quote, "Our families and our children are being arrested, are dying in epidemic proportions because of punitive prohibition policy." It's 35 minutes past the hour. And finally, the latest installment of absolutely ridiculous bills in American state legislatures. This week's dishonoree is no stranger to strange bills. Making its second appearance in 2 weeks, let's welcome the great state of Kansas. Reuters News reports that Kansas last week took the vitally important step of banning Sharia law from being used in Kansas courts because there were
Was it being used a lot?
Well, there were so very many instances in which that had actually taken place, Harrison. So many. That's sarcasm for those who weren't listening closely.
Oh, my God.
Kansas Republican Representative Peggy Mast, a lead sponsor of the bill, claimed, this is great, that its main goal was to protect women, saying, quote,
Burkas are good,
Right.
and we've got a sale going on right now.
I want people of other cultures, when they come to the United States, to know the freedoms they have in regard to women's and children's rights. An important part of this bill would be to educate them, end quote. It is worth noting that Kansas also recently passed a Republican-sponsored bill which enables doctors to withhold information from women and only women regarding their own medical conditions and prohibits women and only women from seeking malpractice compensation for harm that occurs as a result of that withholding. So women's rights, Kansas, not so much. Now, returning to the subject of the anti-Sharia law, Ibrahim Hooper, spokesperson for the Council on American Islamic Relations in Washington, commented of the bill, quote, really, the goal seems to be to demonize Islam and to marginalize American Muslims. It's utter nonsense, but if your goal is to promote intolerance, I guess you won, end quote. Congratulations, Kansas legislature. You are our winner, or rather loser, of the week. For Go Harrison on KPFK 90.7 Los Angeles, 98.7 Santa Barbara, 93.7 San Diego, and 99.5 Ridgecrest, China Lake, I'm Mercy Malik. You can be my friend on Facebook and send me news tips for your reality check.
GoHarrison.com. News update. Harrison. From Hollywood, Harrison on the red carpet.
It's just a disaster, horrible idea. And there I was having to do it over and over again with someone I didn't know.
Award-winning actor Ewan McGregor on Working with Directors.
And then he had to stare at each other in the eyes for what he said was 2 minutes, but he lied and it was much longer. He told me that recently.
Well, you obviously love the art form of film. Would you like to direct movies yourself?
I would love to, yes. I've been slightly nervous about it because it's such a big idea, and I've also never wanted to do it just to be a director. I wanted to do it because I want to tell this particular story.
We're talking to actor Ewan McGregor. Why directing?
Mainly I'd like to direct so that I can turn up to work and not have to take off my clothes. Because every day I turn up to work, I've got to take my clothes off and put on someone else's clothes. And it'd be quite nice to turn up at work and just wear my own clothes all day.
Heading toward the director's chair, it's actor Ewan McGregor.
Harrison on the red carpet.
I put everything in my airport bin. I'd only ever frisked before. You mean she? Uh-huh. Now for no cost I'm getting TSA heavy petting. But if you touch me there, I'll need a wedding.
Don't!
Bum, 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 dum. Now I'm feeling a glow. Don't make me go. I've faced a stud and I want more. I'll come back, I'm persistent. Don't need to fly long distance. You've got to itch my scratch. Bring to assistance.
Right.
Touch me. I'll catch the flight at 8:30. Grill me, drill me, copper, feel me. It's a feature of my flight.
It is 40 minutes past the hour. Harrison with you, your new best friend. You are listening to Go Harrison on KPFK 90.7 FM, Los Angeles 98.7 FM, in Santa Barbara 93.7, in San Diego 99.5, in Central California. We are live tweeting at Go Harrison, at Go Harrison. You can also tweet us if you'd like to not call in using a traditional telephone. You probably remember these things. They were instruments that sat on a table. You would either rotary dial or push buttons, and then you could actually have a live physical conversation with another person, but it meant you actually had to be there. And it makes us very vulnerable having a live phone call, but we do offer that traditional service here. 310-737-TALK, 310-737-TALK, your Harrison hotlines, or you can simply tweet questions and we'll make sure that they get to Julia Davis. We are talking to Julia Davis, national security whistleblower, falsely declared domestic terrorist subjected to retaliation of unprecedented proportions by Homeland Security after she revealed that bin Laden himself had planned a terrorist attack on U.S. soil on a 4th of July, and files found within bin Laden's compound in 2011 confirmed everything that Julia pointed out, the 4th of July attack, etc., etc. She also revealed as a whistleblower that Homeland Security was having an unplanned sandwich so that particularly icky people could come through the border south of here, and then suddenly they could be discovered here. And, well, by God, we need to grow Homeland Security because, look, they're getting in here. Like the war on drugs, it's a miracle how so much cocaine and heroin can magically appear in all the big cities and the suburbs. Surprise, surprise. Homeland Security happens to be notorious for its brutal retaliatory tactics against courageous whistleblowers like Julia Davis, and Julia's got a movie coming out this Wednesday. This Wednesday, we're going to give away a couple of pairs of tickets to you coming up in just a moment so that you can go see it and meet her. This is what a hero looks like, a courageous person. John Wayne, as we were all told, was an American hero. Why? Because he could put on cowboy boots. But a real hero is somebody willing to stand in front of a bulldozer while it's trying to take down a tree. I know that's a little abstract, but our audience appreciates that particular metaphor. A real hero is somebody who pushes up against forces that are doing incredible things that we don't think they're supposed to be doing. Like they're labeled one thing and do yet another. But we're talking about our lives here at stake. And one of the things you deal with, Julia, in your movies, you talk about the Patriot Act. You talk about civil rights and all of that, and that it is for real being monkeyed with. These aren't big oopses, mistakes. Like we love to Obama was just asleep that day. He didn't mean to sign the National Defense Authorization Act. He thought he was signing a receipt for a pizza. We love to do that stuff politically. But I would say, and based on your experience, Julia, there are very few mistakes. We've got more billions spent on watching every molecule move from this position to that position. We've got computers that calculate with extraordinary algorithms the likely outcome of any particular move. There are no mistakes.
Absolutely true, Kerry, and you've pegged it absolutely right. The Patriot Act has been written by Michael Chertoff, and it was created as a tool to deal with inconvenient truth tellers or anyone that the establishment for some reason wants to target. We have my family and myself and my witnesses have experienced that firsthand, because to declare me a domestic terrorist, they said that what qualified me was derogatory statements against the government and aggravation.
I guess we're all terrorists then.
So everyone in this room would qualify.
Well,
and most people we know.
Not me. My ancestors helped write the Declaration of Independence. We signed the Constitution. Shouldn't I get a free pass or not?
Depends on which side of the line you are, because those elitist Department of Homeland Security managers consider themselves above the law, while the rest of the people are willing to break the law to silence the whistleblowers or truth tellers. And in fact, I never considered myself a whistleblower, just someone that did what was right. So whistleblower is kind of a derogatory term.
So maybe we should just call you a person of integrity, a POI, a POI in French.
I would be proud of that.
You are also what we like to call a Harrison Hellraiser, because that's what you do. not that you wanted to, but boy, did you raise hell. And boy, are they trying to make hell part of your natural life, whether you like it or not. Julia here, because she's a whistleblower, because she talked about Homeland Security, because she revealed that they were purposely letting people through the borders, while deporting your cleaning lady, that she served in the Russian army. Like, what could be worse than that? Oh, and a convicted murderer. Let's just throw that in on top. Really?
Those were some of the false charges that were leveled at me because they have landed a Black Hawk helicopter at our home in the Palm Springs area and stormed our house with a special response team, a total of 28 agents. They have actually used more agents to raid our home than they did for the raid of bin Laden's compound.
Wait.
Oh my God.
Wait, stop. They used more agents to raid your home. Black Hawk helicopters landing in Palm Springs at your house. More agents to raid your house than they did to go capture bin Laden himself, whom you, by the way, about whom you did your report, that he was planning a terrorist attack on U.S. soil on July 4th. So something that could have destroyed millions of lives, they used fewer guys to go after him, and you're the guy that actually saved our lives. We'll go to the phones in just a second. We'll go to Lila, we'll go to Carlos, we'll go to everybody else. 310-737-TALK, your Harrison hotlines, 310-737-TALK. And now it's time for us to be part of the solution rather than perpetuate the problem by doing nothing. It's time for Activism Go-Go!
Excite your liberal might. Speak loudly and carry a big stick. It's time for Activism A-Go-Go. Oh, yeah!
If this were a dictatorship, it'd be a heck of a lot easier.
1, 2, 3, Activism A-Go-Go.
Alrighty then, big news. President Obama came out in favor of marriage equality just before a fundraiser at George Clooney's house last week. Clooney is said to be writing a book entitled The Man I'd Like to Marry and 50 Other Reasons I Like Obama. Well, if you want to help put marriage equality into the Democratic National Convention platform this September, it's really quite easy. All you have to do is sign the petition freedomtomarry.org. freedomtomarry.org. And don't forget to put it on your Facebook and Twitter accounts, too. Well, a study released this week revealed that 1 out of 10 Wall Street employees are psychopaths. Well,
breaking news.
Well,
earth-shattering news.
I know. Try not to
no
fall off
one
your
saw
perch.
that coming.
The results are inconclusive, however, because the other 9 out of 10 who claim not to be psychopaths are pathological liars. If you're looking for an alternative to capitalism, you can learn more this Saturday at the 2012 Socialism Conference at Los Angeles City College. Conferences and workshops are going to be held in the Chemistry Building. Why does that somehow make sense? At 855 North Vermont Avenue here in Los Angeles. For more information or to reserve your seat or your beaker, you can email la@pslweb, one word, la@pslweb.org, or you can call 323-810-3380. That's 323-810-3380. Well, Treasury Secretary Timothy Geithner, who oversees the IRS, is in hot water this week after it was revealed that corporate Goliath, the Apple company, maker of the iPhone, paid $0 in taxes this year. When asked to justify the tax policy that gives this major corporation a tax break, Geithner replied, "Siri made me do it."
Oh, my.
If you have an iPhone, you understood what that meant.
Yes.
If you don't, Activism A-Go-Go is written and produced by Susie Shannon. You see this amazing activist fighting for social justice all over town and on 45 minutes of sleep a night. For more information on where, who, and what Siri makes me do at night, you can go to Facebook, Go Harrison, keyword, Go Harrison, Twitter, @GoHarrison. That's it for your Activism A-Go-Go.
Activism A-Go-Go.
Harrison is Activism whatever.
You're listening to Harrison. You're listening to Shatner. Now, wait a minute, Harrison. That's enough now.
Locking in. Coming up, more Harrison. 310-737-DOUG. Your free-thinking, non-conforming home of free speech radio. This is Harrison.
This is Rush Limbaugh, servant of humanity, talk show host, hemorrhoid sufferer. Folks, at over 300 pounds, I know the agony of this kind of dilemma. Ladies and gentlemen, I'm here to tell you there's help. With new Preparation Rush and my Rush to Excellence suppositories. Now you can end the pain and itching of hemorrhoidal tissue. Just look for my picture on the box of suppositories and the applicator tube. Another fine product from OIB, the Obesity in Broadcasting Network.
GoHarrison.com.
All righty, it is 50 minutes past the hour, 5-0. Harrison with you, your new best friend. You are listening to Go Harrison, streaming live video at GoHarrison.com. You can also join us on Facebook, Go Harrison keyword, Twitter at Go Harrison. Lamont Wheat, who's running our social media department, has beaten me so bloodily with his truncheon of social responsibility.
Violent imagery.
Doesn't that sound hot, doesn't it?
Wow.
Yeah, okay. So I'm just mentioning that because it's part of it is titillating. Speaking of titillating or something, let's go to, how about Lila? Lila, you're on Go Harrison. Welcome. Let's try that again.
Today.
There we go.
There we
Hey,
go,
great to have you aboard, and you're on with Julia Davis as well.
Wonderful. And, ma'am, you really are a person of integrity. I don't care what term we use to speak of you. I hold you in the highest esteem. People like you that have put yourself in positions of danger, all to get truth out to the American public. And I do commend you, and I must say that you are the modern hero.
Thank you so very much. I really appreciate you saying that, and I appreciate you calling in. Thank you.
Hey, Lila, do you know what you just did?
What did I do?
You just won a pair of tickets to go see the movie Wednesday night.
Wonderful! That is great news.
It's, yes.
And can I... Oh, go ahead. I'm sorry.
No, you go ahead. You called me, and you're paying for it. Actually, I'm paying for it.
Well, since you're going to be so kind as to, extend an invitation to me, I would also like to extend an invitation to you from Free Bradley Manning SoCal, which is a coalition of different occupies and different activists and different individuals that are personally upset with how whistleblowers, and in this case specifically Bradley Manning, have been treated. So we are going to be having an action in Pasadena on the 24th of May from 3 p.m. till 8 p.m.
Awesome. Hey, Lila, do me a favor. Send it to Activism at GoHarrison.com. That's our, everybody can use that, Activism at GoHarrison.com. We will read it out on the air, the full thing. We'll also post it on Facebook, and we'll send tweets. So we'll be able to hit about 10,000 people for you, okay?
Oh, that's wonderful. That's exactly what I was hoping to do.
Perfect. So, and part two, and that goes for everybody listening right now. Everybody listening right now. Also, I need you to text us at your Harrison hotline, 310-737-TALK, 310-737-TALK. Text your name, your address, and anything else? I guess that's good. Your name and your address, and then we can get you the tickets at will call, okay? We'll send you all the information back by text. Great. Thank you so much.
Great. Sounds good. Have a great day.
Have a great day. You too.
Thanks, Lila.
Bye.
You too.
All right. Harrison with you. Let's go next to, how about Aaron? Aaron, you're on Go Harrison. Welcome. Aaron. Or Anon?
That's Annan.
Annan!
Okay.
Hello?
You're on,
You're
sir.
on.
Go ahead.
Okay, I just wanted to call and tell you that I have the greatest admiration for this woman because I had the same kind of thing happen to me. It wasn't as bad. All I was doing was telling my boss about a mistake in a contract, a huge, huge contract with a huge defense contractor. I saw a mistake that had been made, and I told my boss because, that's what you do. You tell your boss, to keep them out of trouble. And I ended up in a room by myself with no computer, no telephone, being sent to a psychologist.
Wow.
And I threatened to be removed. I worked for the Navy, and so on. I thought there was something wrong with me.
That's what they'd
I
like you to
didn't-
think, right? And
Right,
likewise, when they told Julia Davis, they declared that she's been working with the Russian army, served in the Russian army, by the way.
Which she probably would remember.
She
I would
may
imagine.
recall that.
Yeah.
And also convicted as a murderer.
Also might remember that.
Like Mitt Romney, doesn't quite remember the event, but apologizes if anybody was offended. This is the kind of thing so that the public, you and me, we start to assume that this is true, but we don't get to see her say, no, I didn't do it.
Right.
So they just, right, they abuse your reputation and your own mentality, right?
Right, and I didn't realize what it was until there's a female attorney working on the John Walker Lynn case, who I read about later, who had been accused as a whistleblower because she did the same thing. She told her boss about an irregularity, and as soon as I read that, it went kablam. Yeah, that's what happened. I told my boss, and next thing I know, my story isn't anywhere near as bad as hers. It is nowhere near as bad. They didn't do that to me, but I didn't realize, I just took an early retirement because I thought, but my hat's off to you.
Thank you so much.
Difficult.
Thank you. It is, and there is no such thing as a small whistleblower retaliation. I'm sure it was devastating in your life when you were dealing with it, and I understand how it happens. It's a huge problem, and there is a pretty much a standard way that they deal with whistleblowers, and this kind of harassment and retaliation is very typical. I'm sorry that you had to go through that.
Hey, Annan, thank you so much for your call. And would you like to see that movie tomorrow night? I mean, Wednesday night?
Wednesday night.
Wednesday night?
Will you see me Wednesday night?
Would you like to see the movie, Julia's movie, the entire documentary?
I'd love to see the movie Wednesday night. I'd love it.
All right. So do you mind sending me a text at 310-737-TALK with your name and your address, and we'll send you information back on when and where.
Okay, and send you a text at 310-737-TALK?
Those are your Harrison hotlines, honey.
Okay.
All right. Awesome. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Okay. Hey, you know what? Let's do this. If you're okay with this, Julia, we're going to go over the top of the hour. We've got 1 minute more on the radio on KPFK. It is 57 minutes past the hour. We're going to stay streaming online. We're going to take the rest of your calls. Also, if you want to jump over on your smartphone, on your iPad, anywhere, you can continue to listen to the show at goharrison.com. goharrison.com. One word, goharrison.com. We're going to continue with Julia, just probably another 10, 15 minutes maybe. Finish taking the calls, take more calls, maybe give away another pair of tickets, and wrap this up. But we want you to be able to participate because this is so vitally important. So as we leave KPFK right now, we're going to continue streaming live at goharrison.com with Julia Davis, a national security whistleblower, falsely declared a domestic terrorist for whistleblowing on Homeland Security. Harrison with you. Thank you so much, Mercy Malik. You're going to stay for just a few minutes. Lamont Wheat, Julia Davis is hanging on. I'm just going to play a little musical interlude here. And as we continue in about 1 minute, we will continue live.
Harrison on the edge, like NPR on acid.
Women adore him. His lust is unquenchable. His animal magnetism knows no bounds. He's a man. He's a beast. He's Bullwinkle.
Oh, Bullwinkle.
Are you okay, dearie?
Oh, Bullwinkle.
Dear, are you having an asthma attack? You are. Somebody call an ambulance. All right, Julie, now take a deep breath now.
Yes, that's right. You can talk dirty to Bullwinkle, too. Have the moose with antlers satisfy your every bestial desire.
Don't stop. I'm almost there.
You're almost here? Boy, if I knew you were coming, I'd have baked a cake.
Bullwinkle, make me scream.
Well, okay. Your credit cards have been revoked.
Yes, talk dirty to Bullwinkle. Call 1-900-MOOSE-ME. $2 the first minute, $6 each additional minute. The Moose is waiting to talk to you.
Hurry up and call. I'm in the mood.
Call 1-900-MOOSE-ME right now.
GoHarrison.com.
And it is the top of the hour as we continue live here on GoHarrison.com. Live on GoHarrison.com. You are now connected to our digital version. This is the online stream hitting everybody in Europe, etc. We do have lines available right now at 310-737-TALK. Those are your Harrison hotlines. We have 50 phone lines. We have 40-something filled, but we're going to go to the top 5 and make sure we get to you first. Let's go next to Carlos. Carlos, you're on Go Harrison, also on with Julia Davis, national security whistleblower, whom the Homeland Security came after she, of course, ratted on them for having pointed out that many of the wrong people were on purpose being let through the borders, even though her job was to make sure that they weren't. Homeland Security let them through anyway for some other purpose, maybe just to declare, see, there are terrorists here, and we need to double the size of Homeland Security, and here's the bill. And meanwhile, Black Hawk helicopters landed on her lawn with more guys exiting than even went and got bin Laden himself, and this is because she did her patriotic duty. Let's try Carlos here, although I do see we have a little technical issue. How about Freddie instead? How about not? How about we'll just hang on there for a second. We have so many lines, it looks like they're just jammed up at the moment. Julia, we were talking about the files that you found that bin Laden was going to blow up U.S. territory. And when you went to your boss and you told him this, for those who in the beginning of the hour heard that, here we are an hour later, they probably didn't hear your answer. Why, when you say bin Laden is going to come and blow up America on the 4th of July, a very meaningful day for all of us, why would Homeland Security punish you for doing probably the most important thing that had been done that whole year?
Because I had exposed the shortcoming in the way these people from terrorist countries were processed on the day when we knew from intelligence alerts that Al-Qaeda members were planning to enter through the U.S.-Mexico borders. And when I brought this to the attention of my supervisor, he told me to take it to the Intel team. And when I went there, I found out the entire Intel office was given a day off for 4th of July, in spite of these intelligence alerts we had in place. And so they told me, just put it in their intake box. They'll get to it when they get to it. And I did exactly what I was ordered to do, but I knew this wasn't the right course of action, so I contacted the FBI's Joint Terrorism Task Force and notified them that 23 people from terrorist countries have been admitted into the United States on this date when we were expecting that something like this might happen.
One has to wonder, and we'll go to Matt on the phone in just a second, one has to wonder why Homeland Security takes the day off on the 4th of July when you say everything is going to go down. It almost says that they're not really serious, that they're really just running a public relations agency for some other purpose. Is that very far from the truth?
No, it's not far from the truth at all. And there are actually time periods when on the border, when officers on the front lines are told not to check any trunks for a certain period of time. And everyone knows that something's happening, but there's nothing you can do about it. And those that stand up to it and try to do something about it encounter the kind of retaliation that myself and my family and my witnesses have been subjected to. And there are 4 deaths surrounding this case as well.
So here you are, you're working for Homeland Security, for ICE, whatever, checking the border, reporting on terrorism, and then they order you not to check the trunk of a specific car. I would think, much as I would, the first thing I would say is why, right? Why? What's the official answer when you go, gee, why? I thought all trunks were potential problems. But you're telling me specifically Mildred wearing the black sunglasses and the smoked out windows don't check the trunk. You're going to say, why? What do they tell you when you say why?
If you say why, they tell you shut up. And if you keep asking, you may not have a job the next day.
So I just want to make this clear to listeners, and I really wish that this would have taken place in the previous hour. Employees are told at certain times, do not do your job, presumably because something is coming through, and you all suspect / know that something is coming through that you are intended to allow to pass into the country. And anyone who asks or inquires as to why is fired, or worse, ultimately resulting in the actions that were taken against you, potentially.
Perfect.
That's correct.
I just want people to get that, because that's really huge. That's not somebody being embarrassed because there was a failure and they got caught. This is deliberate. And this is our Homeland Security.
It is very, very much a correct assessment.
Amazing.
All right, let's go to Matt. And Matt, you're on Go Harrison. Welcome. Glad to have you on board.
Thank you very much. And I commend the bravery and service of your guests there, and was just wondering if you have, I know anybody could write a letter with Bradley Manning, and I'm sure he would appreciate hearing, I mean, obviously he's gone through quite a bit himself, and I was wondering if you've reached out to him or had any correspondence with him.
I have written several articles about Bradley Manning and the way he is being mistreated and abused, and one of those articles was called Naked Until Proven Guilty, which is exactly the kind of tactics he's being subjected with. And I don't believe that he's allowed to receive mail at this time. Right. But if there was a way of reaching out to him, I would definitely love to speak with him and extend my support.
Does that answer your question, Matt?
You know what? I'm driving. I can't hear that. I'm going to have to listen to the archives later. I'm just coming back from holiday. And Harrison, this is Matt Pine, so I'll be back on duty tonight uploading. I've been away for 6 days.
When in doubt, load it out, my friend. All right, thanks, Matt. Drive safely and carry a big stick, whatever that means.
Thank you for calling.
Well, Julie, I'm going to wrap this up in the next couple of minutes, but I just want to sort of reset for people who are enjoying this now online as the digital version. This is hour number 2, and we're talking to national security whistleblower Julia Davis, who was falsely declared a domestic terrorist subjected to retaliation of unprecedented proportions by Homeland Security after she revealed potential bin Laden terrorist plans for U.S. soil on the 4th of July, obviously a meaningful day for all of us. And then files found within the bin Laden compound in 2011 confirmed that the 4th of July attack was in fact a date of a planned U.S. attack. And then Homeland Security, notorious for its brutal retaliatory tactics against whistleblowers, courageous ones like Julia Davis, was then later falsely accused, she of being a domestic terrorist, and then also an illegal alien, and also Homeland Security and ICE tried to deport and denaturalize her. Oh, but that's not all. It sounds like a TV commercial. The agency then falsely claimed that Julia served in the Russian army and was a convicted murderer.
Sure, why not?
There's not a whole lot left other than, making love to a sheep, which probably might be in one of the charges, but not worthy of printing. She happens to be a member of the Academy of Television Arts and Sciences, national security anti-terrorism expert. You've seen her on network television talking about terrorism issues and such. She's also an investigative journalist, a former Customs and Border Protection officer. She writes for the LA Homeland Security Examiner, appears on network television, as I said before, and her story, her movie, her documentary, happening Wednesday night, is about being falsely branded a domestic terrorist. It's being showcased in a documentary film called Top Priority: The Terror Within. And we've already given away a couple of tickets. And just to kind of wrap it up, Julia, your movie is likely going to create, I would imagine, some level of blowback. You start putting this in the middle of L.A., the media capital of Earth, America's second largest market. Somebody's going to walk away and talk about this.
I certainly hope so, because the government has tried desperately to keep this story under wraps for years and has been doing everything imaginable to suppress it. But after prevailing in the lawsuit against Homeland Security, I want to have justice in the court of public opinion, and people need to know what's going on so that they could prompt changes to make sure that nothing like this happens to anyone else.
And we can see, basically with people screaming and yelling about the TSA, that they did change, not so brilliantly, but they did change some of their policies. We've been able to get rid of a lot of high fructose corn syrup and other things. It just takes about 15% of us to be on the same page and yell loud enough. And then the political folks that are taking the money from the corporations the corporations feel like they're going to suddenly lose customers because we're all agitated, so they just repackage the product. But hopefully they can repackage it better, and we can help guide them to repackage it. The realities are the realities. So if we can at least, I don't know, take out some of the ingredients of some of these toxic things that are being given to us on the government shelf of things to buy, like Homeland Security, then maybe it's a win. Now, Mercy Malik earlier reported that Dick Cheney and Rumsfeld and Bush were tried in the court of...
The Kuala Lumpur War Crimes Tribunal.
The Kuala Lumpur War Crimes Tribunal.
It sounds funny, but it's been getting a lot of press internationally and pretty much nothing domestically funny how that works. And although that tribunal has no power to force any sort of convictions or force reparations to the many, many victims that they identified and substantiated as being victims of terror as a result of the Bush administration policies and direct executive orders, it has been given very wide publicity, as I said, internationally, and also to other legislative and governmental bodies throughout the world who do have the power to, for example, arrest one of those people if they happen to cross into said country's borders. So it is kind of a big deal.
And they gave birth to Homeland Security. They created the Disney world that you tried to do. You did the right thing in. I mean, this is really clear.
Right.
And then they rewarded you with some Black Hawk helicopters. It's just, well, I guess we all need to go see the movie.
Yes, and I think it's important to say, too, I just want to make this clear for the listeners, this is not a plan for this 4th of July. This took place quite a while ago. So I want to make sure that people aren't getting nervous, and in no way is this show feeding into the terrorization of our people. Oh, there's people out there trying to get us. This was a while ago that this took place. This
but
has been
but if it
several
were for
years
this 4th of July, we wouldn't have to worry because Homeland Security would take the day off. So it's simply not going to happen.
Right. Well, the point is, what's really important to me about this show is that we don't feed into the orange alert, oh no, sky is falling. This is something to know about your government, that this happened, that employees that we pay for through our taxes were told to not do their jobs and were then punished when they actually did do their jobs. And it was really heartening to me to hear all the callers, and I know that we didn't even get to all of them, who just wanted to say, thank you, Julia Davis, for doing the right thing.
What a great way to end. Thank you, Julia Davis, for doing the right thing.
Amen.
Thank you very much for letting me have this story out in the media. Thank you.
Well, only in the middle of the afternoon in L.A. in people's cars. So we'll do
That's the
more
most
for you,
important.
okay? We'll do more for you. Harrison with you. You have been listening to Go Harrison. This is the extended digital edition here. We've been talking to Julia Davis. I want to thank you, Mercy Malik. You can The Real Mercy. Am I right?
At the Actual Mercy.
At the Actual Mercy. At the Actual Mercy on Facebook, Twitter.
On Twitter.
On
yes.
Twitter. And I want to thank Lamont Wheat for demonstrating some impeccable typing skills.
And quick.
In front of Julia Davis. She knows a good typer. She knows the real deal when she sees it.
This is it, baby.
This is it.
It doesn't get any better than this.
It doesn't get any better.
It's true.
And we will see you Wednesday night in the theater.
Thank
as
you.
we pronounce it in the South.
Looking forward to having all of you there.
Me too.
Thank you.
Harrison with you. You can join us anytime. 24-hour stream at goharrison.com. Goharrison.com. There will be a pledge drive for the next 3 weeks on KPFK. So I'm going to run something online instead. So if you want to puke and gag and retch